In today's video, I'm just going to go over the cards that have gotten spoiled so far. I believe that there are 41 for the new expansion. I forgot the name of it, the Innistrad expansion. I've looked over it a couple times. Someone in the Discord has put together a document just having every single spoiler so far. And so I just have that pulled up instead of like a website or something like that, so that they're all in the same place and I can just hit them up one at a time. So I'm just going to start going over the cards and my thoughts of them. So the first one I see is the Desperate Prayer. So cost 2, spell, draw a card, heal yourself equal to its cost. So you guys know I'm ecstatic about this card, right? I know I have a lot of control on my channel. I just have a lot of fun with the archetype. But the reason I particularly like Desperate Prayer is because with School of the Wizard, as you guys know I enjoy, if you play Shell Game, you play Flagrant Foul, you play whatever Kior's signature spell is that costs 4, that sends something away. All those type of cards, if you play Desperate Prayer in the same turn, you're going to trigger your Elemental Mastery. And then also, you know, draw a card so you can continue to fuel yourself and you heal. So it's basically like how Anticipate is in a lot of my blue decks, where I have that as my slot. I suspect Anticipate's still probably better just because you can hunt for the board wipes and stuff like that you need, but Desperate Prayer is definitely interesting, and if they ever come out with a card that's like, when you gain life, this happens, yeah, that's awesome. The Desperate Prayer could help you though if we're ever in like a burn heavy meta or something like that, but it could just be better than Anticipate. It's just something I have to test out, but I'm really excited for that card. Olivia Voldaren, 6-drop, 3/3, flying, debut, gain control of an enemy creature this turn, give it haste. So it's in black, right? Purple, whatever in this game. But there's a reason, you know, why it's in black, right? So you're going to take their stuff, you're going to attack with it, and then you're going to sack it to like a grotesque or some artifact and get a bonus or whatever. So it's really good on its own, but you know, in the black color, you're going to take it and then get even more bonus off of it. That would be really interesting if there was something that triggered its debut effect again, like the artifact, the 3-drop Panharmonicon, right? So you could steal 2 things and give them haste. So I just expect a lot of shenanigans, a lot of fun with Voldaren. I think it's a great card. It really punishes the opponent if they go tall and you just steal their biggest thing, and you know, you could even kill them with it. Taking an opponent's sneak creature is going to be really funny. So I mean, she's got a lot of uses, and she's just very incredibly strong. Death Shadow, 20-drop, 13/13, costs 1 less for each damage you take in this game. I'm not first impressions aren't like I'm not particularly amazed by the card, right? I know there's going to be synergies with it. I know there's going to be ways to cheat this out. We'll just really have to see how much support there is for a card like this. But you know, I'm glad cards like this exist. They allow for funny stuff, and then also it's another card that you could potentially like reanimate and just have a giant body for no reason. So who knows how good it is? We got to see the rest of the set. Well, it's definitely interesting, right? Sigarda, not sure how you say that. Heron's Grace, flying, at the end of your turn, give your other friendly creatures ward. You can't be dealt damage except by attacking creatures. Okay, so this is just a really hard stabilizer. I hate that it's in Drit's colors. That annoys me a lot. And it's of course a legendary. I'm not quite sure how good it is. Obviously, like Vivian can run it. Nissa can run it, Dritz can run it, Ajani can run it, but I do like the like protecting yourself against burn. I do like giving the other stuff ward and just having some more sticky threats. I think it's just gonna be a very strong mid-range creature, and I'm happy it exists. Oh, I just noticed that in the text document I can just read off of here. But Delver's Secrets, 1-drop 1/1. After you draw a spell, this flips into Insectal Aberration. So let's take a look at that. It's a 2-drop 2/2 of flying. So in Magic, the reason Delver's good is because it's a 1-drop that turns into a 3/2 flyer. So if your opponent doesn't answer it right away, they're going to take a crap load of damage. However, in this case, it's just a 2-drop 2/2, and there's tons of removal in this game. So what are you going to do? Like, run a deck full of spells and hope it flips, so you can have a 2/2 that gets removed by like Abrade, Shock, Drain Blood, all the fight creatures. Like, I don't know, I don't really get it, but you know, it costs one less than turn, but you have to synergize your whole deck around the strategy. So I hope it's better than it seems, but right now it seems like doo-doo to me. But you know, whatever. 6 crossed artifact, the Helvault. 3 charges, activate, add a random sealed creature to your hand. I don't think we know what those are yet. Finale, change the cost of each sealed creature added to your hand to 1 for this turn. So I don't know if there's going to be strategies to like try and kill it off sooner, so that way the finale triggers. But then if that happens, you're not reducing the cost as much as you could because you haven't, or you know, as many things as you could because you haven't used all the charges yet. So I would imagine you'd want it to happen naturally, so you could discount 3 different things to 1. So it really depends on the strength of the sealed creatures, and it really depends on how slow it is. So again, this is just another card we'll have to see. It's definitely interesting though. Champion of the Perished. After you summon a zombie, this gets +1/+1. I hope Champion of the Perished is actually in this set as well. After you summon a zombie, gets +1/+1. You know, definitely really good for zombie tribal, and the fact that it just gets +1/+1 and it's gonna stay is really strong. It doesn't say this turn, so I actually really like Champion of the Perished. I think that's going to be a really nice boon to Liliana. Hunter's Moon, fill up all friendly creatures with Moonlight and give them haste. And from my understanding, Moonlight's like if you have 2 mana at the end of the turn, that's what causes them to flip. So I'm imagining it uses the 2 mana. You don't just have to have 2 mana, but if you just have to have 2 mana, then I don't really know what difference that would make, because I would imagine that if you arm a trap, like the mana is still there. Does that count towards Moonlight? You know, like I don't know how that works, but it basically flips all your werewolves and then gives them haste, which seems really strong for 1, honestly. But we'll see. Let's see. Daybreak Ranger. This card's sick. 4-drop, 4/3. Debut, mark an enemy creature, and then he transforms into a 4-drop 5/4 with reach. After this flips, deal damage to the marked creature equal to this creature's power. So having like such positive like tempo potentially, like killing something, keeping your stats on the board, having it flip means, you know, you didn't have to like skip your whole previous turn to remove something. You can just have 2 left, remove something. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very grindy. I think it's very good. It has reach for some reason. I don't know why it has reach, but I guess maybe because wolves climb, you know, trees. But it's very good. I think it's very interesting. All right, we have Gat Staff Agitators. Moonlight's debut, get a fragile mana gem. So I think it's very interesting that there is a 3-drop creature that's aggressively statted, that's a werewolf that ramps. That's very interesting to me. After it flips, you also get a fragile mana gem. So I would imagine that if you have to Moonlight and have 2 mana open, that the fragile mana gem will count towards one of those 2. So is the point like it flips, gives you another mana gem, and then you have 2 fragile mana gems, and then you, as long as you don't spend them, you will flip your werewolves for the rest of the game? Like maybe that's how that works, I'm not sure. But it's definitely interesting, and being able to potentially go from like 3 to 5 in a aggressive deck seems pretty good. And you're not doing something like super tempo negative, like you're putting a body out to curb better. So it seems quite scary, honestly. Hermit of the Flock, Moonlight, debut, summon a sheep. Sheep are just 1-drop 1/1s, and then when it flips, heal yourself for 2 for each friendly sheep. So it's very well statted to block, and then it heals itself, so it heals you. So I don't know. The fact that it gives you another blocker as a sheep, it just seems really defensive to me. If there's something that like grows when you summon stuff, that'd be really cool, because you could like play this, summon something. I could see this also maybe being good in like Gideon potentially, because it's a 1/4 that makes a 1/1. So I wonder if Gideon would be good. And then also, what was the other thing I said I was mad that's in Drit's colors? Oh, this. So I didn't, and it gives everything else ward. So unless they board wipe, it'd be another like sticky thing for Gideon to do if he splashed green. But that's kind of interesting. Beastkeeper, 3-drop 2/4. After you summon a creature that costs 1 or less, give it +1/+1. Okay, does this guy summon it? It does. Okay, so those are obviously meant to be played together. And then that would be producing 2/2 sheeps instead. Costing 1 or less, I'm not sure how frequently that's going to happen, but it's obviously a synergy with sheep. Ulrich the Outlander, haste, attack, add a random creature with Moonlight to your hand. So that seems like a really strong draw engine. I don't like that it's legendary, that Dritz can use this as another way of just continuing to get card advantage. Seems kind of crazy. After he flips, he gets trample, becomes a 6/6. Give a random upgrade to each friendly creature. Yeah, that seems like a way for Dritz to snowball really hard. Also with Domri, just constantly getting creatures, and then Domri giving you boars seems like that could be pretty good too. And then with something like Dritz, where you have like Watchwolf and Tusker and things that are already huge, and you curve out to something like this, especially if you play the where's that? Especially if you play the agitators, you can just play the agitators into this guy. So like imagine like Tusker's agitator, that dude. You know, that's a really strong curve, right? Also, off a Hero's Call, they now have another legendary haster to find. So I think Dritz might be the winner of these new cards so far, which I'm very sad to say. Raise the guard at the end of your opponent's turn, summon 3 soldiers. So this is really good with Teferi. If Teferi ever has a build where you have something with like Call the Wind and Raise the Guard and like guarantee traps that go off that give you bodies, I could see that being really cool, like a tempo combat trick oriented Teferi. I could see that being really nice. Also, I could see it being good in Gideon as well, because you're getting 3 bodies. So that's a guaranteed Gideon proc. So I think that's going to go into a lot of Teferi and a lot of Gideon decks, right? This is one of the cards I was excited about. Kind of glad Ashiak got nerfed, because there's a lot of buffs for Ashiak in this new expansion. So Fear the Grave, mill your opponent for 1 for each zombie in your graveyard, max 10. So you guys know I like to run Old Graveyard with Ashiak. Now that's going to be like a staple. And then you're going to run stuff like Merchant and Grotesque and let's see, I'm trying to think of the other zombies, but you're just basically going to run Ashiak with a huge zombie package, put a bunch of nightmares in their deck, put a bunch of nightmares in with Old Graveyard, and then you're going to run Fear the Grave, and you're just going to mill your opponent to death. And that's going to be the alternate win con for Ashiak. So Ashiak got way, way, way better, and they know exactly what they're doing, because Fear the Grave is blue and zombies are black, and what's blue and black? Ashiak. So they know what they're doing with this. Another Ashiak boon potentially is Fate Twist will place your hand with a copy of your opponent's hand. So I could see Fate Twist going in the same deck as Fear the Grave, because if you're running a more zombie-centric deck, then you're more board-based. You might not be generating as many nightmares as Ashiak typically does. So you need a way to refuel. Well, what better than to just take your opponent's hand, spam a bunch of nightmares, now you got a whole new hand, and if you're playing Old Graveyard, you can keep the zombie thing going, and now you've got like if Control puts your shields down, you might have like a Second Sun now, you might have a Day of Judgment now. Fate Twist is honestly could be really, really crazy. Next is Tree of Redemption. We got a 5-drop 0/13 debut. Exchange this creature's health with yours. I don't know how I feel about this card. I could see it, being like a really strong wall. I could see it, but the problem is like if you preemptively try and wall up, you could end up like decreasing your life more than where it currently is. And then later in the game, if you're trying to stabilize and heal yourself, then it's like, but it's just a 0/13. So you're not like trading with the board and stuff like that. So it's a very weird card. I'm not sure how I feel about it. My instincts tell me it's dookie, but there could be some use for it, right? Like maybe if there's a card like with invert, I could see that being really cool. Or the thing that like gives the defensive strength to the power, the Paragon thing, whatever it's called, the one thing that like Gideon creams itself over. I could see that being good in there. Like if I drop 13/13, it seems pretty good, right? Okay, Thalia's in here. During your opponent's next turn, their spells cost two more. So what this allows aggressive and mid-range decks to do is just overextend, and that's what Thalia is like known for, is just letting, like, Thalia's Lieutenant's like a snowball card, but this card's namesake is known for all your opponent's spells cost one more, but cost two more their next turn. It's not quite as good, but just allows you to overextend and then be like, well, that board wipe isn't going to save you now, and it was going to save you, but it's not now, and now you're dead. So that's her use. She's obviously going to be legendary because she's a named creature, so you only have one, but the decks in this game are smaller, so when she makes her appearances, it's going to hurt. It will definitely hurt. It'll put a huge hindrance on Rawl. It's going to slow down Ashiak even more. It's going to give Jace and Teferi huge headaches. So, but the games need cards like this. Unstable mutagens for the rest of the game. After you summon a creature, give it a random upgrade. This card seems really dumb. I don't like it. It reminds me of Mundus Stone from Elder Scrolls Legends. Cards like this can do really crazy things, and it can just make you feel like you're losing to RNG. And the idea is that it's like tempo negative. You're spending 3 mana, you're not getting anything on the board, you're not taking any health away from your opponent, but none of that really matters because you don't need to play it anytime soon. And if you have the time to play it, now your creatures are superior for the rest of the game. So this card's really crazy. I could see it ended up like getting nerfed and costing like 4 or 5 in the future. Excuse me, this is taking a number of my voice. I'm actually gonna stop the video and get some water real quick. All right, I've got some tea now, so I can continue this. Where was I? Unstable mutagens is crazy. Okay, now we're all really glad Ashiak got a nerf. This is the third card that would have like just made Ashiak insane. So Voldaren Drainlord, 6-drop 3/5 flying. Stats aren't that great, but your drain effects are increased by 1. So that means every Nightmare would have done double damage, and then Drain Blood would have done 3, and it'd just be really crazy. So let's just be glad that Ashiak got nerfed, but I could still see Ashiak running this card just to annoy people. Might not be that good though. All right, now this card I'm kind of excited about. It's kind of a meme, but I think it has potential to not be a meme at all. So 5-drop Mind Magnifier, 2 charges on this artifact. Activate, add a temporary copy of the last spell you played this turn to your hand, change its cost to 1. So my immediate thoughts are obviously Elemental Mastery because I'm degenerate. So you play this on 5, you play an Elemental Mastery on 6, you charge this thing, or excuse me, maybe on 7, and you charge this thing, and then you play another one. So then for the rest of the game, like you Day of Judgment, I get 2 5/5s with Sneak, or 5/4s now with Sneak. The other thing that my mind immediately goes to is Lava Axe. So you can maybe just burn people to death like that. I'm trying to think of some other spells that would be really crazy. I'm sure there's going to be some in the set, but I think there's a lot of potential with this card, especially in maybe like a Tolarian Academy deck, so you can reduce this cost, and you can maybe combo harder with it, right? So I'm really interested in Mind Magnifier. I'm sure some people have already thought about some really crazy combos, but those are my first impressions. Let's see, we have Archwing Ravager. Flying, attack, destroy a random artifact. If you do, double this creature's power and health. Is a 3/3. So I'm assuming that means you can destroy your opponent's artifact. It'd be kind of weird if it had to be your artifact. Maybe it does just have to be your artifact. But doubling it seems really strong. 5/6/6 and do it one more time. Now all of a sudden it's a 12/12. So I think it's really snowbally. Not sure how good it would actually be in practice, but it could be built around and just get ginormous for no reason. Eternal Phoenix, 4-drop 2/2, Miracle for the rest of the game, gets a random upgrade at the end of your turn. If this is in your graveyard, put it into your deck. I'm pretty sure Miracle is going to be just like it is in Magic the Gathering. If you drew it, that turn the Miracle effect will apply. But I'm not sure on the Miracle for Spellslingers. But it seems underwhelming at first glance. 8-drop 5/5, Crater Hoof Behemoth, haste debut, give your other friendly creatures and creatures in your hand +2/+2. So in the Discord, I saw some people the day that this was spoiled that the 8-drop spell might just be better, but I'm not sure. I think the fact that it has haste does a lot for this card, and if you have a wide strat, giving everything else +2/+2 could be very strong. So, and then buffing everything in your hand too, making the other haste creatures that you have potentially a lot bigger as well. So I could even see a world where this is in Domri, because Domri likes to go wide with the boars, right? And then, you know, those boars aren't messing around now. So I think this card actually is good, and it might take people a little while to see that, but you'll see this card and you'll be really sad when you do. Let's see, next card, 6-drop 6/4, Golden Knight Harbinger. It's mythic rarity. I don't think it's legendary because it doesn't have a name, right? All the legendaries are named. And it says, flying debut, double the power of each creature in your deck. That seems insane. It actually seems insane. So, your Legionnaires are 4/4s now. Like, basically this screams to me like Boros Flyers. So even Nahiri's signature card is now like a 4/1 with sneak and no, it's armor and haste, but still that's crazy. So if there's any sneaks, flyers, hasters, getting buffs on all those is just crazy, and it's like very well statted for what it does. It's not legendary, so you could play 2 of these in a game, which seems kind of crazy. Okay, next up we've got Thing in the Ice. Cost 2/0/3. After you play your third or more spell in a turn, this slips into Awakened Horror. Seems kind of a big ask to play 3 spells in a row. I would imagine the Spellslingers have the easiest time with this would probably just be like Rawl, right? Because you have Spark of Genius, which costs 0. So in Rawl, it's probably not that hard to pull off, but other decks, maybe like really late game Ashiak, but that's, you know, you want this to flip like with relatively soon, right? But it turns into Awakened Horror, a 4-drop 6/5. After this flip, stun the strongest enemy creature. The flip side's not bad. Is Thing in the Ice work the deck slot? I don't know. We'll just have to see. 4-drop 3/3 Restoration Angel, flying debut. Return another friendly creature to your hand. Change its cost to 1. So this is obviously just a combo piece. We don't know how good of a combo piece it is until we see the rest of the set. Excuse me. Young Pyromancer, 3-drop 3/2. After you play a spell, summon an Emberling. An Emberling is a 0-drop 2/1 haste that is fleeting. Big fan of the Young Peasy. I see this being in like every Raw list ever, and that's potentially a home for Thing in the Ice, and it's also probably the only place that what's his name? Delver of Secrets can go. So I think Rawl's got some things to mess with in this expansion for sure. Let's see, Laboratory Maniac, 5-drop 3/3. If your deck is empty, you win the game. Miracle, mill yourself 1, which I'm assuming that's when you top it, but I don't know. Interesting that there is potentially like a self-mill strat or a counter strategy to your opponent trying to mill you out, but that would just seem like a weird tech against mill, right? But who knows? And then we've got Westvale Abbey. At the start of your turn, deal yourself 1 damage. Flips into Profane Palace after you've dealt 13. After you've been dealt 13 damage. So obviously this is a way to enable the whatever that thing was, the 20-drop 13/13. And then after it flips, add a demonic priest to your hand. Each turn you have a chance to add a demonic priest to your hand instead of getting a mana gem. So you don't want this to flip too early, because then you can really mess yourself up. But the demonic priest, after this deals damage to yourself for that much, is a 3/2. So I'm really thinking there's going to be some benefit in this set for healing yourself, and something happens, because there's just too many things like that. And if that's the case, I could see the prayer and demonic priest maybe being in the same thing. Maybe Sorin's going to have something to do with, like, when you heal, this happens, right? So we'll see. But that's the video. Those are my first impressions. I'm really excited for this set. It looks like a really, really cool set so far. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you tomorrow.